If you are one of the millions of us navigating the grand seas of One Piece, you know that feeling. A huge lore reveal drops, and it's less of a surprise and more of an earthquake, really, shaking the foundations of everything we thought we knew. And we are not talking about, a new devil fruit or some powerful new villain. No, this is something way more ancient, way more foundational. We just saw the debut of the legendary Joy Boy, actually finding his voice in the anime. And the shock wasn't just that this character, who's been gone for 8 centuries, is finally here. It was the voice actor they chose. It was this huge emotional nod to the entire history of the franchise. Joy Boy is voiced by Urara Takano.
The original voice of Monkey D. Luffy.
The very first one. So that's our mission for this deep dive. We're going to unpack two really crucial layers of this for you. First, the historical and honestly mythological significance of this voice actor choice. It's not just some Easter egg.
It's a narrative statement.
Exactly. And second, the massive structural changes coming to the anime schedule is going to completely redefine how we experience the story from here on out.
Yeah, you really have to see this as a signal that's being sent on 2 different frequencies.
Okay.
On one hand, you've got the historical one, where this casting choice is an audible link across 800 years of in-world history. It just reinforces all the core themes. But then you have the logistical frequency, where the production changes signal, a maturation of the whole franchise's approach to animation. We have to look at both to really get what a monumental moment this is.
And Urara Takano herself kind of captured that perfectly. She went on social media on X after the episode aired.
Oh, yeah, I saw it.
And she said something like, these 27 years have felt like an eternity, almost as long as 800 or 900 years.
Right. It's a great joke, but it's so true.
It is. And that simple joke just highlights this immense, almost mythological history we're about to dig into, both in the real world and in the story.
It connects the real world time for us, the audience and the creators, to the mythical time inside the story itself. And that's a perfect lead-in to the real deep-cut history of her involvement. History that I think most casual fans have probably forgotten, or maybe never even knew.
Okay, so let's unpack that. Because when most people listening think of Luffy's voice, they think Mayumi Tanaka.
Of course.
Who is a legend and has voiced him in the main anime for, basically the entire run. But Takano's involvement goes so much farther back, it predates the main series completely.
That is the essential context here. Her debut wasn't just early, it was pioneering. You have to go all the way back to 1998.
98, so the manga had only been out for a year.
Just 1 year. And she voiced Luffy in this short film, this prototype, called One Piece, Defeat Him, the Pirate Ganzak.
Ganzak. Wow, that title alone is a throwback. Only the most dedicated fans are going to recognize that instantly.
Exactly. This short was basically a test run. It was showcased during the 1998 Jump Super Anime Tour. And this is where the timeline gets really fascinating. When she was in the booth recording as Luffy in 98, the main anime, the one that launched the series into a global phenomenon, it wouldn't even air for another year and a half.
That's a shocking gap for a franchise this big. So she wasn't just an early voice.
No.
She was the first animated voice for Luffy before they even greenlit the full TV series.
Precisely. She is the undisputed, absolute pioneer voice, even if her time in the role was short before Tanaka took over for the long haul. And now, 27 years later, they bring back that foundational prototype voice.
And give it to Joy Boy.
The spiritual and historical prototype for Luffy himself.
That just adds this profound cyclical level of respect to the casting. It's a statement about the entire journey. But, okay, we have to ask the critical question. Is this just high-level fan service? Or does it actually serve a necessary narrative function?
Well, it's absolutely a narrative function, and that's the real insight here.
Right.
The choice moves so quickly from just being historical nostalgia to being narratively significant. It reinforces one of the core metaphysical concepts in the entire story.
Inherited will.
The idea of inherited will, exactly.
And that idea has always been central people picking up the mantles of those who came before, whether it's a dream or a legacy. But how does casting the same actor really reinforce that?
Because the characters themselves are explicitly linked in the lore. It goes way beyond just sharing a personality type or a goal.
Right.
The source material is very clear that Luffy and Joy Boy are 2 sides of the same coin, just separated by 800 years. They share these key motifs, the devil fruit, the Hito Nomi model, Nika, and critically, that straw hat. So by giving them the same voice, the production team makes that connection audible. The voice itself becomes the auditory symbol of that inherited will. It suggests that the essence, maybe the soul of Joy Boy's mission, his laughter, his power, it has literally echoed through time and found a home in Luffy, The voice is that metaphysical thread connecting them.
That's the aha moment for anyone trying to understand this. It's not just that they're similar, have the same power. The series is using its own production history, bringing back the character's original sound to connect the philosophical dots for the audience.
The past is literally speaking through the present.
Yeah.
It creates this feeling of destiny. But it's not some destiny imposed from the outside. It's a destiny that flows from the past into the present, carried by these shared traits. So the voice becomes a direct narrative tool, intertwining Joy Boy's time with Luffy's adventure.
It makes sure you know these aren't just parallel figures.
Exactly. They are echoes of the same profound event.
It's just brilliant.
Yeah.
And, as we talk about this history and this incredible longevity, we should mention, One Piece just passed its 26th anniversary.
Right.
To be that deep into a run and still find ways to integrate its earliest history into its most important reveals, that just cements its status as a storytelling giant.
It absolutely does. And speaking of the show's endurance and its future, we now have to shift gears completely.
Okay.
We're moving from this profound historical casting choice to some very practical logistical information that you need to know about what's coming next for the anime.
Yeah.
Because the structure of the show itself is changing.
It is a jarring transition, isn't it? Going from 800-year-old myths to 2026 scheduling. But it is essential information. We are so used to the series being a weekly powerhouse.
The perpetual machine.
Right. It's run almost nonstop for decades. So
Yeah.
what would necessitate such a radical shift?
To understand the change, you have to understand the problem. That weekly production grind, where the anime is always chasing the manga, it inevitably leads to what you could call pacing stagnation.
Oh, yeah.
The need to pad scenes, to draw out panels, sometimes even inject non-canon filler. It's all just to create distance from the source material.
And we've all seen the consequences of that chase. Fans have complained for years about dips in animation quality or those long stretches where a single manga chapter takes up an entire 22-minute episode.
Exactly. The fidelity to the source suffers, and frankly, animator burnout is a huge industry issue with these long-running weekly shows. Right now, you can catch every episode on Crunchyroll, which is fantastic for accessibility, but that relentless pace is finally coming to an end.
So here's the practical info. The production is slated for a planned hiatus, a necessary one. This break starts in January 2026, and it will run all the way through the end of March 2026. This isn't just a little break. It's a strategic overhaul designed to retool the entire production schedule.
And that strategic prep is for something massive.
Yeah.
That break is specifically timed to precede the dive into the highly anticipated Elbaf arc.
The Land of the Giants.
The Land of the Giants. Fans have been waiting for this arc for almost the entire run of the series, and the narrative scope just demands a higher level of quality and consistency.
Okay, so what does the structure look like when it returns in spring 2026?
This is the biggest news. The anime is officially transitioning to a seasonal format. This is the massive shift.
Yeah.
So instead of the typical 48 to 50 episodes a year, we are looking at a new, much slower, and ultimately more deliberate pace. 26 episodes a year.
26, that is a massive operational recalibration. It literally cuts the yearly output in half. What does that kind of change allow the studio Toei Animation to do?
It allows for breathing room and a massive shift in focus. Think about the success of other huge franchises that move to seasonal production.
Like Attack on Titan or the return of Bleach.
Exactly. When the teams aren't forced to deliver high-quality stuff every single week, they get months to refine storyboards, perfect key animation, and really make sure the spectacle matches the source material. So this new 26-episode model, it means they'll produce 2 cores a year, 2 13-episode blocks. This means the animation team gets 6 months of pure production time for every 3 months the show is actually on the air.
That is an enormous luxury in the world of serialized anime.
It really is.
It signals a definitive move towards a production pacing that, well, it fundamentally respects the manga's density, and crucially, it maximizes the animation quality. Less time spent on padding.
And more time on making the big fights, the huge reveals, and the emotional moments really land. And if we connect this back to the Elbaf arc, which is this massive world-building section in the manga, this new pace means the scale of the giants, the intricate history, the environments, all of that can be rendered with a scope that was just impossible before.
So they're making a massive investment in the quality of the final arcs.
That's what it looks like, a huge investment.
So let's wrap up this deep dive with our two main insights. We've looked at the past with the nostalgic, lore-heavy casting of Urara Takano as Joy Boy, and how that served as this powerful auditory thread for inherited will.
Hmm.
And we've looked to the future with the strategic and I think necessary move to a seasonal 26-episode format.
Right, and this shift represents the ultimate trade-off, which brings up an important question for you, the listener, to think about as you process this. What might this move to just 26 episodes a year imply about the sheer scope, the detail, and the cinematic feel that the animation team is planning to dedicate to the Elbaf arc?
Yeah.
Everything that comes after.
That's a great question.
Given the franchise's decades-long history of weekly sprints, this new deliberate pace, it unlocks so many creative possibilities. It really suggests they're getting ready to give the final saga of One Piece the premium production treatment it deserves. Well, this slower pace made the payoffs even more impactful.
It's the ultimate pivot, right? Less frequent episodes, but potentially a much higher quality and density of storytelling. We've unpacked the history, analyzed the lore, and peered into the structural future. Just remember, in this world of pirates, adventure, and a new nugget of knowledge is always just around the corner. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.